So in this ground floor Victorian flat in North London, there are areas of heat loss causing mould and condensation at the base of the wall. The owners are concerned about renting it out and want to make sure that the property is ready for tenants. I start by measuring dampness at the base of the wall using a Dr. Damp meter, which I encourage owners to buy. Similar type of damp meter anyway, with using radio frequency rather than 2 pins. It's more accurate and it doesn't leave any marks. You can also measure weekly to see whether my methods reduce the vapour and dampness in the wall.
See, so it's always damper at the base of the wall because there's gravity and cold and so on. Okay. But you get heat loss in the corner because you've got more sides. Greater external surface area increases the heat. You often get dampness around metal. So here you've got the cracks on the outside, the render cracks. It's not coming through, although it's possible that it's just been hidden by past damping treatment. And metal causes heat loss as well. So you often get it around sockets and so condensation and mould are going to form in very similar areas. Oh, and your neighbour's is empty next door, so it's a vacant property.
Yeah.
So it looks like something has changed the profile of the wall here. Do you see you're getting the heat loss?
Yeah.
Oh. There. So you're getting the heat loss around there and at the base there.
Yeah.
That lines up with where you're getting the mould.
Yeah.
So that will be almost certainly when you've got the
Wow.
That's outside and that's inside, and obviously you've got the radiator. But it's interesting to see that even though with the radiators on, but do you see how even though you're relatively close to the radiator, you're not actually benefiting much.
Yeah.
All the heat from the radiator goes up like that in a plume. So here I'll show you. It's quite.
Sean, do you want to come in this way?
Yeah.
So that is that will be outside, and then that's the corridor, your neighbour's corridor. And I was just saying how even though you're quite close to the radiator there, you're just not getting the benefit. That's 18, and that's 20 odd or whatever, 33 degrees centigrade.
Okay.
But that with this. So this is the explanation for why you're getting it in a certain zone. That's where you're getting all the heat losses there.
Yeah.
But these render cracks, some water will get in through that.
Yeah.
It may not get the whole way through, but occasionally it will do. And and it's going all the way up actually. What is most? I didn't see any examples of penetrating damp. So when you have water coming the whole way through a wall, it will cause discoloration, a stain on the inside, a brown stain. But in your case, you're not seeing that. But what happens often is that you just get the water coming through to the the outside skin of bricks, and a wet brick is a poor insulator, so it will cause localized heat loss, which is, ends up with mold and condensation.
Yeah. And do you think?
So in this case, you're getting the gas as well as drawing the heat out.
Yeah.
It's drawing the heat out from under the floor, so it's going to increase the heat loss.
Okay. Right.
So you probably have it there as well inside.
And this gravel pit thing was supposed to be a damp management solution.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know what.
They're called French drains. They're named after Mr. French. There's nothing to do with France. it's fairly misunderstood. It doesn't drain though. That's
Okay.
the important thing. Is it doesn't. It's better to have concrete the whole way that pushes water away from the house. This sort of shingle drain. Well, it's not really a drain, but the water falls and percolates under the shingles and then remains there, and the shingle stops it from evaporating off, so it ends up causing extra heat loss.
Right.
So you see some of my other videos, you see me talking a bit more about it, but you can get dampness caused by French drains.
Yeah. Okay.
And this the metal from the gas meters causes heat loss. But as I say, the focus should be on removing the vapor. This is just increasing the risk of condensation and mold.
Yeah.
But if you get rid of the vapor in the first place, you don't have and so there's those 4 things that
elements.
So heating, ventilation, dehumidification, and insulation.
Yeah.
And it's a combination, the best combination for you.
Little sort of drain bucket to
Well,
push
where
the
would
water
you, where would you?
somewhere.
Yeah, the idea is to move the water away from the front of the building as much as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 meters is ideal,
this
but
How are you? I think we're okay. You don't need to see next door, do you? No, yeah, I think we're alright.
Okay.
Thank you.
so a fillers of cement along the wall and concrete or if you want to put tiling or natural stone or anything or tiles like they have next door, just to move it away from the building as much as possible,
Okay.
displace it from the building.
Okay.
But French drains, good invention of Mr. French, but don't do anything for draining.
Okay.
So Acca drains work well, and this one's actually draining out, so that's good. French drains don't work because they're not draining. So the subfloor humidity, there's a hygrometer probe in underneath there, and I recommend you get one yourselves. But it's showing 58%. If it goes above sort of 85, 90% for a prolonged period without coming back down again, that suggests that you've got a leak. Which can be mains water leak. And I'll show you, if you look at other examples of my reports, you'll see examples of how to test for a mains water leak. Or it can be a wastewater leak, but that's less likely because it normally goes straight out. So you're unlikely to have a risk of damp in the subfloor void, which means that you can close it up. The other thing to do is when you close it up is just keep an eye on or you want to be keeping an eye on this anyway, but particularly during the time of closing it up, because you're getting the benefit of less heat loss, but at the same time you're taking a bit more of a risk of getting rot, specifically dry rot. The reason that you're getting dampness here is that you've got the radiator here, and when it's not on, the radiator will cause localized heat loss. So it's counterproductive. So it's always good to have a little gentle bit of heat flowing. Obviously, the main thing is to keep the humidity down in the bathroom. So if you do that, then you won't have a risk. But that's why you're getting it specifically here, because you get the heat loss. In the summertime or in autumn, it can be very cold at night.
Yeah.
And you can get vapor condensation forming.
Carrying that temperature. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's it. Because we.
You've got a bit of dampness in here. So you've got the cold pipes. You've got a risk of damp and mould in here.
Yeah, it looks like there's some damp on the board that the electrics.
On this consumer unit.
Yeah.
Well, so
Well,
I mean the
mould,
reason.
It does say damp, I meant mould.
So it's just next to the bathroom, so you're going to always have a risk. And you can see that the rust is obviously from condensation.
Yeah.
So you're getting
And that's
it.
all coming through from the bathroom.
Yeah. And it's here. Do you wash the floor from time to time? But so that will. So this is coming from the radiator, causing when it's not in use for over the summer. And I mean, you can see unless it's anti-mould spray that you've got here, but you can see condensation dribble works.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's definitely condensation.
there was condensation here as well. But okay, so basically it's not rising down. That's the one thing that we can say for certain. It's condensation from poor, insufficient ventilation, dehumidification, and heat loss. And if you follow all the recommendations, it will work.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to guess that it's had damp-proofing treatment up to this level because of the way it's forming. And what you have is a risk of condensation forming between the original plaster and the slurry below it.
Okay.
And that's, you get, these are calcium sulfate salts, which is one of the key ingredients in cement, is calcium sulfate. They're benign, they don't cause any harm, and you can just sandpaper them off and paint it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's all. That's when you get brown, that's because it's going through something. So it's the condensation forming on here, or water. It doesn't have to be necessarily condensation, but if you've got a body of water like this, it will heat up and cool down at different rates to the wall, and you get risk of condensation forming, and then it's picking up the colour from the timber and then coming down, and then you're getting condensation on there. Does that make sense?
So is this because of the oils and the products in this area? Oh, okay. So if we remove things like that from this
or
area,
insulate around them.
or insulate.
Well, and also you'll deal with the condensation, the vapour.
Yeah. Okay.
But
For your visit to get some advice on what we put in there.
okay, so
It does need replacing.
It takes a long time to clear the bathroom
Yeah, it's a real problem.
after a shower.
okay,
A long time.
okay. Well, that may be.
Like most extractor fans, the factory setting doesn't appear to be correct. I'm not entirely sure, and if anyone wants to leave a comment, that would be useful. But it wasn't acting as a continuous flow extractor fan. The lights would switch the fan on, but when the lights were off, there was no air coming through at all. Now, I cleaned out the fan and managed to solve most of the problems, but if you're going to put in tenants, you probably want to get a new extractor fan.
You had two problems. One, you had about 3 times too much, probably more than that, about 5 times too much flexible ducting, and what happens is it constricts. That reduces the airflow.
Like an obstruction.
But it was running at like 3 litres a second or something like that, and I've got it up to about 12 litres a second. Which is about as good as any property, and the background is now 4 litres a second. So when it's quiet, it's still running at 4 litres a second.
Okay.
So, but I've also taken this away, and this is part of the problem. Is this is seized up, and it's just creating constriction, extra, thing to be in the way.
Yeah.
And these backflow shutters weren't working. To be fair, they weren't closed. After it was like semi-closed, I suppose. But they also weren't providing any. What they're supposed to do is they're supposed to be shut with the wind blows through, so that you're always getting the wind going in one direction or the other direction. But it won't make any difference because you're constantly blowing air through, so you don't need a backflow shutter. But yeah, there's just an extra obstacle. So with dehumidifiers, what you want to do is you want to either have the dehumidifier set up next to the source of the vapour. So if you're drying clothes internally, next to the source, because that's where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. This is going to get the greatest amount of condensation. Or in the room where you've got the problem. So, for instance, in a flat like this, I'd probably set it up here when you're drying clothes. Otherwise, put it in the bedroom for an hour before going to bed at night, and an hour first thing in the morning.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I do. And the good thing is that dehumidifiers, apart from being environmentally very good because they're using electricity and not gas, so they produce something like, and you'll probably know the calculations better than me, but it's something like gas produces 300 times more carbon emissions than electricity, but you get 50% bonus heat. So all the energy comes out as heat, but you get 50% bonus as you're transferring from gas to liquid form through entropy, and so you're getting heat basically. Every pound of electricity you use, you're getting £1.50 of heat back from it. So it's nice to have it anyway.
Yeah.
I recommend that you insulate around the cold water pipes.
Okay.
And you want to insulate around the things that are causing heat loss.
Yeah.
So you might think about insulating these around the underfloor ventilation that's causing the heat loss.
Yeah.
But equally, you want to reduce the energy loss from radiators. So if you've got any radiators on external walls, it's worth having those reflective things. I don't think you do in this case,
no.
but if you did, that would be worthwhile.
Okay.
Any property that has complex mould and condensation issues, which a lot of ground floor flats, particularly lower ground floor, which you aren't, but even so, your ground floor flat have much higher condensation and humidity issues for three reasons. One is that people are less likely to leave windows open, or at night or whatever. As a top floor flat, you'd be quite happy to have a window open. So there's a security aspect. There's rainwater collects at the base of the wall, so you're going to get a bit more humidity. It's also more likely to be in the shadow for longer, so you're going to get less sunlight on the outside wall, so the internal walls are therefore going to be colder generally. So you've got all of these factors. You've also got the factor of the subfloor ventilation creating localized heat loss. So in these circumstances, I would definitely have a continuous flow bathroom extractor fan. One where when you switch the light on, it also triggers the electrics to switch the fan on, and it has two speed settings. The continuous flow is about 5 litres per second, and then the boost flow is about 15 to 20 litres a second. Will have a boost function for when you switch the light on that lasts for half an hour, and a humidistat function, which is humidity operated. But you have to get, the important thing is you have to get the electrician to set it up correctly, because they always, the factory settings are never correct in my experience, and that is because they're trying to sell them on the basis of being as quiet as possible. So you have to do things like change the jumper position. If you look at my old reports, you'll see lots of examples, and I'll actually show me changing them because I've had to change them for owners. So they change the jumper position. I wouldn't necessarily do it without an electrician.
No.
But and change the overrun settings. So this is where it lasts for half an hour, because you need to have at least half an hour. 90% of the vapor remains in the bathroom after the shower's switched off and lights are turned off. So unless you keep the extractor fan running for half an hour, you're not going to get rid of the vapor. In the recommendations, but if you make it a requirement within the AST, the Assured Short-Hold Tenancy Agreement, that the tenants have to use the kitchen extractor fan whenever cooking. They have to use a dehumidifier whenever the humidity is high internally, and they can use a data logger and look at the dew points to determine if there's too much vapor, or they're drying clothes internally, they should use the dehumidifier, because obviously when people are working from home, they're generating vapor. Since COVID, there have been many problems, more problems with mould and condensation because of people working at home. They work at home, they cook at home for more time, and humans generate the most vapor, 750 millilitres per day, 3/4 of a litre per day, and then cooking is about 1/4 of a litre per day. Showering about 1/2 litre per person per shower, and about 1/2 litre for drying clothes. But so you make it a requirement to use the kitchen extractor fan use the bathroom extractor fan, never to touch the isolator unless it's short term with an electrician in an emergency and it's put back again and you're told about it. And if the bathroom fan or kitchen fans are defective, you should be made aware of it within a day of it happening.
Yeah.
And likewise the dehumidifier.
Mm.
If they do all of that, then you won't have any problems going forward with tenants.
Yeah. Okay.